Blackmagic RAW gives you a lot of compression options, but choose the wrong one and you might either waste a huge amount of storage or make your best shots look worse than they should. In this video, I'm comparing 3:1, 5:1, 8:1 and 12:1 in real footage to see where the differences actually show up and which one I think is the smartest choice. Let's make this simple. With fixed BRAW compression, smaller numbers like 3:1 mean less compression and bigger file sizes, and bigger numbers mean more compression and smaller file sizes. Okay, lower compression, bigger file size, but the real question is if smaller numbers also mean better quality, or maybe it's not always the case. And in real life, it's almost never just the quality decision, it's a storage decision, because the difference between the files is huge. Let's look at a calculator that Blackmagic has on its website. There you can check how many hours you can capture for your specific scenario. For me, it will be 24 FPS on 4K DCI and a storage size of 2 TB, because that's the size of the drive that I use. And as you can see, the difference between 3:1 and 12:1 is massive. 12:1 gives you roughly 4 times more recording in the same media storage. And that's one of the reasons why fixed compression is so useful, because it's very predictable. For this test, I used the BMPCC 4K and shot the same kind of scenes in the same conditions. Then I treated them the same in post-production, so the color grading is consistent through all of them. I exported this video using Handbrake workflow and it's the best method that I can imagine. The first few scenes will focus on the details, and I thought that this moving grass will be a great example. There are a lot of sharp edges and everything is moving, and it's really bitrate heavy, so it's quite a task for compression. I think that lower compressions give more organic look, and higher compressions tend to blend the grass together. The next test will be sea, waves and textures. The water has a lot of textures, so I thought that it might be bitrate heavy, and also the rocks here are kind of dark, so you can see that compression here shows as a noise, and that will be quite common. Then few more details with shadows and water texture. I will show more direct comparisons later. I think that looking at first glance, there is not much difference, but when you zoom in, you can see that the details are somewhat lost and the image is much more noisy and a bit blurred. There is not that much sharpness. And now we are approaching the most important scenes, wide landscapes, and here the amount of data is very big, and the compression will have very hard time. When you zoom in, you can see that the lower compression is much better than the higher compression, and the details are much more preserved and they are not changing into noise. And I have to say that even on full screen, wide landscapes look much more premium and organic. It of course depends on the monitor that you are viewing this footage, but it really looks better. And if you zoom in, you can see a lot of noise on 12:1. And unfortunately, that noise will make your footage look less sharp and just cheaper. Now let's check those compressions side by side. You can of course pause this video or watch it a few times to notice the difference, because it's not that visible on first glance. But it mostly comes to noise and the organic feeling of small details in the image. Before, I focused on comparing 3:1 to 12:1 to just show you what should you expect when the compression doesn't work as intended. But here you can see that 3:1 is not completely necessary. I, for example, use 5:1 for my nature footage, and I think that it's mostly enough. And the only moment when I would consider 3:1 as my normal mode would be when I shoot only very important wide landscapes. Here, where you compare them side by side, switching really fast, you can really notice the difference, especially in the noise. And as I said before, this noise will unfortunately destroy your footage in the post-production. But if your scenes are simple, I wouldn't worry about it too much. All of this footage wasn't sharpened and I didn't touch mid-tone detail to give accurate results. So after looking at all of this side by side, I think that the real answer is not which one is the best, but it's more which makes more sense for the way you shoot. So my advice would be that if you're shooting something important and the scene is very complicated, it makes sense to use even 3:1 because you will need this detail if you want the best results, and especially if you want to push it harder in post-production. This will always help. But if you are shooting just something very simple, maybe indoors, and there are not a lot of details, I think that even 12:1 would be sufficient. So that's my take on fixed B-RAW compression. I will also make a video about constant quality because that's a whole different aspect. So make sure to subscribe to not miss this video because there things get interesting. Thanks for watching, and remember, let your films be shot by reality.